So here we have Maisie, and this week we continued working on all of her commands. I'm just going to show you her growth with her leash walking. She's doing really well with this. You will also be able to stay tuned to the end of your update and see her out and about at Syracuse University, where she was able to see a bunch of students and people just in the area walking around. We saw so many people and Maisie was so good. But yeah, so she also had to walk through the city on a leash, good girl, and she did really great with that. So I'm just going to show you how it is we've been working on this and continuing to work on it this way. Good girl. This way. Good girl. So whenever I change directions, I use that term this way, and when she goes to the wrong side, I'm going to say and I'm going to take the treat and actually bring it to the correct side. So I want to get her in the habit of just walking back to my left side. Good girl. She's holding that treat. She's only nibbling on that, not me. This way. Good girl. So again, she goes to the wrong side. Take that treat and I bring her to the correct side. Good girl. Good girl, Maisie. Good girl. This way. Easy. Yes. Good. So she never even hit the end of the leash. That's why I said yes, good girl. But when she goes out in front of me, this way, see if she'll do it. If she goes out in front of me, I'll say easy, and I let her hit the end of that leash. As you see, the biggest thing we're working through now is just having her stay to that left side. So she's not pulling, she's not like trying to drag me anywhere. Still very focused, good girl. Just going to the wrong side, but that's okay. That is something that is very typical to continue working through at this age. Good girl. But as I was saying, let's see if she'll do it. This way. Good girl. Let's see if she'll go out in front of me. She won't. So let's say Maisie were to go out in front of me. She goes to hit the end of the leash. I say, easy. I stop walking and I let her hit the end of it. This way, she knows that she can't walk until I continue walking. I don't want her to think she's walking me and leading the way. So if we stop, we're not getting anywhere, and she wants to keep going. So by saying easy, you're warning her before she hits the end of the leash, and when you don't continue walking, you don't feed into that pulling behavior. Good girl. Good girl. This one. Good girl. So saying that this way term actually just kind of cues in her handler focus, lets her know you're changing direction. Good girl. Good girl. Her being a little bit behind me is perfectly fine. I'd rather that than her out in front of me pulling me. Good girl. This way. Yes, good girl. So goes to the wrong side. Again, stop walking. And bring her to the correct side with a treat. You will never see me reposition Maisie with the leash. So what I mean by that is when she's out in front of me, I will never pull her back to my left side. It's an old wives' tale that if you pull a dog back to your left side or where you want them to walk, they'll learn to walk there. In reality, you're actually making it a tug of war game and you're teaching her to pull harder. So instead of doing that, being patient and waiting till she comes back to you naturally, or using that treat instead. Never the leash as a tool to reposition. Good girl. Sit. So when she goes to nibble on the leash, as you saw there a second ago, the best thing to do is just reassess the situation and get her refocused. So you don't want to be trying to pull the leash out of her mouth. Again, it's just going to make a game out of it. So if she were nibbling on it, just give her the treat instead. She would drop the leash and take the treat. Of course, if it were a dangerous situation, you could then pull Maisie back from whatever it may be that's dangerous. But typically when she's just pulling, trying to go somewhere, you don't want to use that to reposition her. This way. Good girl. So she's doing great walking with me. Nice loose leash. And what I mean by that is there should always be a bow in the leash. The leash should never be like this. I'm never going to hold her taut like this. Again, this is just teaching pulling. This is holding her in a position that she's not naturally walking. So by having a nice loose leash, that's exactly what we look for. We just want her on the left side. So I'm gonna get another treat out of here. You know, giving all your favorites, huh? This way. Yes, good girl. She's so gentle, she just dropped it. She doesn't want to nibble on my hand. She knows better than that. So sometimes she's very, very gentle and soft mouth, trying to get the treat. So you might notice we slow up a bit. Good girl. She's super, super gentle though. Doing great with all of her commands. This way. Yes, good girl. Good girl, Maisie. Yes. Easy. Good girl. This way. So gentle. Good girl, Maisie. She's had so much kid time, I think that she's just learned to be very gentle, and I love that about her. All right, Maisie, ready to end this session? We'll do one more pass with the leash walking, and then we'll end with her strongest commands. Yes, good girl. This way. Yes, good girl. This way. Yes, good girl. This way. Good girl, Maisie. Yes, good girl. Such a good girl. And as always, ending with those strongest commands, and then we will do lots of praise and have a little bit of a snuggle session, as well as have her go play if that's what she wants to do. Sit. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Wait till she finishes that treat. And down. So she goes nice, flat, and relaxed. Good girl, Maisie. Good girl. Maisie's doing awesome. She did great on all of our outings this week. She's doing phenomenal with all of her commands. And she's just overall such a sweet and fun puppy to work with. Yes, you are. You're a good girl. So this is Maisie's weekly update. Good job. Good job, pretty girl. Yes, you did so good.